We spent every waking hour in the good weather when we weren't in school in those woods. This lady at the Texas Discovery Gardens was saying that they're finding that the kids today don't have that kind of opportunity. The developments we build are further and further away from those natural areas. You have to cross too many highways, so kids just don't go into the woods anymore. And there's a book called The Last Child in the Woods that she recommended that I get. She says it deals with that issue and the social impact that it's having on this generation of kids. And you can see it with these kids here. I mean, they entirely change their face changes and their whole demeanor changes when they walk into these woods. You see them coming down the street and they're all jumping and running and grabbing each other, and they come in here and they immediately kind of calm down and they smile and they take your hand and they pull you down the trail. So it's there's nothing like natural areas. There really aren't. Again, if you're going to turn the forest into something that's recreational and inviting, you have to make the gateway inviting and less threatening than it is right now. So.
Yeah, barbed wire doesn't help.
No, and the cyclone. I've just never been a fan of cyclone fences. I don't think cyclone fences say.
This is the Buckeye Trail.
Yes, this is the Buckeye Trail. The Buckeyes are way in the back. Any well-used trail system, your signage will give you destinations. This is the Buckeye Trail, but what does that mean? Well, there's a Buckeye Grove, and we should know that it's 2 miles to the Buckeye Grove. We should know that this is a 3-mile loop trail, so that you can say, all right, it's 3 miles, I can do that in about an hour and a half, etc. There's also an offshoot of this trail that goes to the Trinity River, so there should be a sign that says Trinity River Overlook, because people that hike, especially day hikers, want a destination. Here's the Trinity River. This is the preface to the Groundwork Dallas office at the trailhead to the Buckeye Trail in the Bonton neighborhood. So Scott is kind of presupposing that something's actually going to happen here, and we hope it does. So we'd like it to be the Groundwork Dallas office, and it's ideally situated because it's at the trailhead to the Buckeye Trail, and we could make a significant impact economically to the neighborhood and become the protectors of the trail at the same time.
That's the trailhead. If you look in the Brit flora of north central Texas, there's about 5 species of this, and this is probably right here is probably the worst infestation of poison ivy, because poison ivy is a plant that takes advantage of disturbed areas. As we get on into the trail here, where it's less disturbed, we don't find this problem. Oh, the 5-line skinks lay their eggs in rotting wood, so I like to to help that species along. I like to see dead trees laying on the ground rotting. Sometimes they call these areas where you don't have vegetation growth scours, and this is where, when the river starts to rise and start to fill in these sloughs, they come down these scours, and that's where you'll see a lot of tree brush. Here's a good water line here, since we didn't get much rain after the flood water went down. So that would have been about waist high right through here, which is a low spot. We should see some cottonwood budscales here in a bit. We're clearing out test plots of in the invasive plant Chinese privet, and Chinese privet is one of the major threats to our southeast hardwood forests, all the way from the Atlantic coast all the way here to this part of Texas. And Chinese privet is a non-native woody shrub. It's an evergreen, so it retains its leaves throughout the winter, and it shades out any of the native vegetation that was originally growing around it. We are in the Buckeye Grove along the Trinity River in Rochester Park, and what we'll do is we'll treat the stumps with a herbicide, and we've marked off this plot, and so that we can come back here in next year to see how see the results of our effort.
Well, this was interesting. I just a few minutes ago had my first experience with a homeless person out here in the forest. I was photographing and I heard some rumbling about 25 yards that way, and looked over and I saw a gentleman kind of staggering out. I think he was probably sleeping just right in here and had just woken up for the morning, and I was real silent. I didn't want him to see me at first, but you never know. And then he kind of made his way, and he finally made his way to the trail right over here, and then he looked and saw me, and so I just said good morning, and he said good morning, and I said how are you doing, and he went on his way. But it was an interesting experience, a little unnerving at first, but good to get through it. And it also points out the whole need that for some people, especially the edges of this forest, maybe where they sleep at night. Part of the problem of dealing with the forest is also dealing with the people who live here, not just in the homes around here, but also people that are homeless and sleep in the forest at night. This is Friday, March 17th, 2006, 8:15. Buckeyes in bloom. Good morning. This is Friday morning, March 24th, 2006. This is the Buckeye Trail. About 1 week after a big flood, and it is still wet. As you can see, the water was at least that high because those branches and limbs were not there last time. It's very wet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to the forest or not. Wow, it's a mess. Look at all this. This trail was pristine last time I was here a week and a half ago. Now there's stuff all over the trail. You can just imagine the fury of the flood coming through here. Look how big that tree is. This was not here before. Look at this. You can't even see the trail here. Wow. It's going to take a lot of work to clean this up. Still though, even though it's flooded, it's muddy, listen to the birds. Wow. It's really wet here. Completely different trail. Whoa. It's a mess. Boy, this looks pretty deep right here. Even if I wanted to photograph right now, there's really hardly a place to sit my camera stuff down. It is so wet. Look at all this stuff in the trail. Trying to make it to the Buckeye trees because they actually like to live a little bit higher up, so I'm hoping maybe they didn't flood as much because they're higher, but the more I go, the less likely that seems. There has been some kind of critter along here though before me. 5 toes. Possibly some kind of big cat. There's lots of different paw prints here. This is by far the longest, muddiest walk I've ever taken. And it's getting really slippery. I'm getting close to the river, but it's just slippery, slippery. This is Monday, April 24th, 2006. This is the Buckeye Trail, the Great Trinity Forest. It's been about a month since I've been here, and it's really grown up the forest floor. The last flood several months ago actually left that right there. Several differences from the last time I was here, which was almost a month ago. Much greener, lots of green. And the smell, the flowers and the pollen in the air is just very fragrant, very pleasant. This is Friday morning, May 19th, 2006. The Buckeye Trail, Great Trinity Forest, 7:25 a.m. You can see how high the river gets at flood stage, because that's up in a tree right there, and it's way down to the river. That's probably 25 or 30 feet down.
Gotta go down more than that in? Well, we're getting there. This is Megan Hutchison from upstate New Jersey. She is the AmeriCorps Groundwork Dallas team leader.
We're at Green.
Go ahead, Megan.
We're happy to be here in Dallas. Working for Groundworks.
Is that all the talk you guys can do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Dallas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May 20th, 2006. The trailhead to the Buckeye Trail. What do you think? How, do you like what's going on here? Do you live in the neighborhood?
Yes, I live in
It's a big change, huh?
Tuesday would be better. Okay. These guys are off on Tuesday or Monday. Okay. They're working.
Let's do that.
Right.
Because I mean, I could go and get it, but
Start digging this hole out.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to do?
well, we put up a fence. It was pretty cool. Painted all those fences black. We're planting trees now. Just lifted a couple of trees. Lifted some trees, like, who lifted some trees? My team they're all laughing. They think it is.
Supporting you. Supporting you. It's all about the team.
Let me first welcome everybody to the Groundwork Dallas AmeriCorps N-Triple-C Extreme Green Makeover. Now that's it. Basically reclaiming an area that is the trailhead to one of the prettiest trails in all of Texas, certainly in North Texas, and that is the Buckeye Trail. Unfortunately, as with much of the forest, it had either been ignored or abused. And when we talked about the kind of project we'd like the AmeriCorps team to help us with, it was to start making the forest more accessible to the communities and to the public at large. Unfortunately, most of the access points to our forest have no curb appeal, and that's one of the things that Groundwork Dallas is trying to accomplish. It's one of our main mission statements, one of our main goals and objectives, that is to provide reasonable, beautiful accommodation and access to a resource that is a 7,000-acre bottomland hardwood forest that is exactly 10 minutes from City Hall. And for many, many years, Jim was the only one to maintain the Buckeye Trail. And when Jim was on our feasibility study team, our steering committee, one of the things we talked about was making his trail, our trail, the city's trail, a real resource, and make this an attractive entry point for the city. Scott and Marilyn Miller on our advisory board as well. There are 4 trail projects that they're working on. This is the second of the 4, and we'll begin to turn our attention to extending the Buckeye Trail back to the White Rock Creek from the existing trail. After that, they'll do some extending of the Sycamore-Dixon Trail at the Larry Johnson Center. And by the way, there's a big trail festival on June 3rd at the Larry Johnson Center celebrating the Sycamore-Dixon Trail and the kids that helped build it. These are the mayor and the deputy mayor of the Bonton neighborhood, Trevon Edwards and Isaiah Williams. Would you guys please stand up?
My name is Jim Flood, if you don't already know that. I've been hiking these bottomland woods since 1996, and I've been volunteering my time and money to the Texas Buckeye Trail since 1999. We human beings, mere mortal sons and daughters of the earth, sometimes lose touch with our real nature in the midst of this great megalopolis of steel and concrete. What this urban hardwood bottomland forest and the Texas Buckeye Trail in particular can provide us, the hiker visitor, is the solace and beauty of the Great Trinity Forest and this wonderful earth that we live on. When we disconnect ourselves from the wonders and mysteries of the natural world, we are no longer complete human beings. This forest, this trail, is one place where we can make that reconnection to the natural world, thus rejuvenating our minds and spirits. I would also like to thank certain individuals and the North Texas chapter of Texas Master Naturalists for the hundreds and hundreds of volunteer hours devoted to the Texas Buckeye Trail.
I am the after-school director for the Larry Johnson after-school program. This is such an awesome contribution. It's such an awareness to our children. The children are learning things that they never knew before, and it's beautifying this area, an area that some people have forgotten has ever existed.
I'm Catherine Nichols, and I'm with the National Park Service, and I'm working in a program called the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program, and we are the kind of an outreach arm of the National Park Service, where we go into local communities at their request and help with their conservation and recreation projects. And the idea is that the community participation in cleaning up some of the derelict properties would give the neighbors more of an ownership in seeing those places stay cleaned up. So part of it is cleanup, and part of it is trying to turn in those spaces into something that has more of a community value to them. And so it's the forest itself and doing trail opportunities to access the forest, but also working in the neighborhoods that abut up against the forest and getting people like these guys involved.
Hey, my name is Isaiah.
Hi, Isaiah.
My name is Trayvon.
Hi, Trayvon. They're little our forest helpers today.
You can see.
What do y'all think about living by the forest? Kind of a fun place to explore?
I just got through seeing his snake.
Did you really? Do you know what kind?
No, because it went in
What
there.
color was
it? It was brown.
For sure, urban kids are not growing up playing in the outdoors the way they used to for a variety of reasons. And this is a way to bring kids into the forest and give them some knowledge of it, of why it's important and why it should be protected, and maybe they'll have a career in that someday because they get excited about it, coming out to have fun.
If she was able to hunt like mice, we'd be able to leave her out in the wild. She cannot fly. We feed her. Close in my hair.
Let me out.
Okay, guys, remember, if you touch the snake, make sure you don't wash your hands, okay?
That's right.
The Buckeye Trail, and we have these panels that we have on display here were a 2004 class of 2004 Texas Master Naturalist project.
This is August 8th, 2006, about 7:10 in the morning, the Buckeye Trail. It's been several months since I've been out here. Now everything's, especially the grasses, have turned kind of golden. They were green last time. Seeing lots of spiders today.
I was sticking that 2x4 up here in this.
What do you call it? Hinge to be above the beam, or is it fine where it is?
This is December 9th. This is the finished product. We're almost finished.